Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you to our Thursday, December the 10th, 2020 virtual regular monthly meeting. And before I start, I'd like to welcome again our new school board members that will take office in January. That is Mrs. Yolanda Thomas and Dr. Ingrid Whitaker, who is no stranger to us, and to Mr. Vernon Tillage. We welcome the three of you to the school board meeting. Look forward to working with you in the 21 session. At this time, I'd like for you to bow for a moment of silence. Amen. Thank you. At this time, if you would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. And I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I would like to read the mission of the Portsmouth Public Schools. The mission of the Portsmouth Public Schools Division is to engage all students in learning that will foster academic excellence and responsible citizenship. Next item on the agenda is the attendance. Madam Clerk, would you take attendance, please?
Ms. Allen,
Present.
Ms. Atkinson. Ms. Atkinson,
Ms. Atkinson.
Unmute.
Here.
Barnes,
Here.
Mrs. Hines. Mrs.
Here. Good evening here.
Mr. Lamb,
Here.
Reverend Patillo,
Here.
Mrs. Shoemake,
Present.
Mrs. Williams,
Here.
Mr. Parent.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is roll call vote, and that's consideration of the agenda for this evening. You've had an opportunity to review the agenda. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move for approval, Patillo.
Patillo approves.
Second.
Ms. Shumate, second. Do I have any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Mr. Lamb,
Yes.
Reverend Patillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemake,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Parent.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. And at this time, we will have the monthly report by our student representative, Miles Hunt. Mr. Hunt?
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Parent, Vice Chairman Patillo, Dr. Bracey, and school board members. Since last month's meeting, Jaden and I had the pleasure of recording our first episode of Portsmouth's Finest. We're excited about continuing this program, which started under Tanaya Bellamy in 2017, and we plan to further our outreach with students and members of the public with episodes of Portsmouth's Finest every month. I also want to take the time to thank all of our students for their flexibility and adaptability over the past few months. If there's ever been a time for individuals to become accustomed to swift changes, this time is now. For everyone listening, continue to hang in there and always stay focused on the important things. I wish you all a safe and enjoyable holiday break. And as always, students and community members can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at PPS Student Rep to stay connected. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt, and Merry Christmas to you, and thank you for all that you're doing. At this time, the next item on the agenda is that the board will go into a closed session, and we'll ask our vice chair, Reverend Patillo, if he would read the motion, please.
I move that the board enter into a closed meeting under the provisions of section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia for the following purpose: consideration of various personnel matters, including the assignment, performance, and resignation of specific school employees as permitted under subsection A.1.
You heard the motion read. Do I have a second?
Second, Hines.
Allen.
Second, Hines, I think, and Allen. Hearing no discussion. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Mr. Lamb,
Yes.
Reverend Patillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemake,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Parent.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
All right. We are now in closed session. Mr. Seffer, if you will,
I move that each board member certify that to the best of his or her knowledge, only matters which are lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements and which were identified in the motion to go into closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered during the preceding closed meeting.
Allen, a second.
You're muted, Mr. Parent.
Unmute, Claude.
I just found myself. All right. Any discussion, please? Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Mr. Lamb,
Yes.
Reverend Patillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemake,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Parent.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the monthly report from Curriculum and Instruction. Dr. Anita Nguyen. Dr. Nguyen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's always a pleasure to see all of you, and I'm always delighted to present to you the monthly report from the Office of Curriculum and Instruction. In addition to your board report, tonight we have a special treat from one of our very own students. Laura Rodriguez Sierra is a high school senior at Churchland High. Her parents are Mr. Daniel Rodriguez and Ms. Jessica Sierra Medina. Laura attends the theater department at the Governor School of the Arts.
Oh,
And she served as the assistant director in the Governor School production of Shakespeare's Hamlet. This evening, Laura will, by video, do a reading of her very own poem, Farewell, a copy of which is available to you with Ms. Chambers. Laura has been an honor roll student during her high school career, and next semester, she's going to participate in the dual enrollment program at TCC. After high school, she intends to pursue a theater major, and her dream school is DePaul University in Chicago. Outside of school, she works as an event entertainer for Princess Parties, and she enjoys spending time with her close family and friends, singing and discovering new artistic works. Here's Laura Rodriguez Sierra. No sound.
we will try that again.
This poem is titled Farewell. Dreadful soul, alas, where should you travel? Spirited flame, when will your light shadow, when the jaded leaves turn to the gravel, and out floods the songs of the blue swallow? Where shall you sail when the tempest surrounds all but a sound point? Peaceful estrangement? Uninhabited, spoiled, dainty bounds for the silent line met in arrangement. Speak softly, the spirits may hear confessions of unwanted, wanton adventures stirred in the mind of a faulted man's emanation. He will welcome for praise the unsecured. It is not our whispers that will condemn, nor the shallow rumors through holy hymns. He will sail away disturbed, no matter, to hide in his striking horrors that clatter. Dreadful soul, venture on to the Sun King. He offers light, the blue swallow dare sings.
Awesome.
Very good. Very good.
Yes. Yes, I'm so proud of Laura, and we're looking forward to hearing more from her. And I want to thank you all for your attention and wish each of you a happy holiday. This concludes our curriculum and instruction report.
Board members, do you have any? Merry Christmas. Do any board members have any questions concerning Dr. Wynn's CNI report? I didn't see anything that, I mean, it was all good, but tonight was very special. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the presentation, recognition of departing school board members, and I'm going to turn that over to Dr. Bracy. Dr. Bracy.
Okay, all right, Mr. Parent. Now, I believe you have the information that you want. That I think you were going to read it. I have the plaques.
Well, I did not download that.
I'll take it.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I saw it, but I didn't. Go ahead.
All right, that's fine. I can do it from here.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, so for each board member, we have a commemorative plaque that we are going to virtually present, but they will be delivered tomorrow. So be on the lookout from someone from operations. They will leave a nice package on your door or in your mailbox. So the first one I have is presented to Mr. Ted J. Lamb, and this is what each of the plaques look like, so that you'll see, everybody can see it. So Mr. Lamb's reads, in special recognition of your dedicated service to Portsmouth Public Schools, and as an honorable member of the Portsmouth City School Board from January 1st, 2013 to December 31st, 2020. And the honorable members of the board, as well as yours truly, Division Superintendent, and it's presented this day, December 10th, 2020, Portsmouth, Virginia.
Congratulations, Mr. Lamb.
Next, we have a special commendation citation to Mrs. Costello B. Williams, and in special recognition of her dedicated service to Portsmouth Public Schools, in appreciation of her enduring investment in our school's success, demonstrated by her leadership as vice chair of this panel from January 14, 2016 to December 31st, 2018. And as an honorable member of the Portsmouth City Board from July 1st, 2008 to December 31st, 2020. So, Mrs. Williams, this was for you.
Congratulations, Ms. Williams.
Next, we have a special commendation for Miss Angelia Allen. And Miss Allen is in special recognition of your dedicated service to Portsmouth Public Schools, in grateful appreciation to your solid investment in our school's successes, and as an honorable member of the Portsmouth City School Board from January 1st, 2017 to December 31st, 2020. Congratulations. We present this to you.
Congratulations. Mr. Lamb, Ms. Williams, and Ms. Allen, thank you very much for your service to boys and girls of Portsmouth. And thank you for your great service, and most of all, that of your knowledge that you have brought to this board, and we wish you well. So thank you very much. God bless you.
I got one more, Mr. Parent.
Okay.
All right.
DeAndre.
Yes.
I was getting ready to say we
Last but definitely not least, yeah, Mr. DeAndre Barnes, in special recognition of your dedicated service to Portsmouth Public Schools and as an honorable member of the Portsmouth City School Board from January 1st, 2019 to December 31st, 2020. Congratulations, Mr. Barnes. I present this to you virtually.
Congratulations. Now you get to go on the other side and make sure we get all of our money. Right, Mr. Barnes? Right. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you for your hard work.
Mr. Parent?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Williams.
Yes, Ms. Williams. I would like to correct the plaque. It says 2016. I came on the board 2008. This is my 12th year. So I guess, before you deliver it, you all might want to correct it or don't worry about it.
No,
one way or the other.
that was when you
But
were
it was-
vice chair, Mrs. Williams.
Yeah, I came on the board 2008, but I served as vice chair in 2016, perhaps.
That's what it says.
Oh yeah, but I want to be recognized for all of my 12 years.
But it says you were
But
July
anyway,
1st, 2008.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, July 1st, 2008.
Yeah, that's what it read.
That's what
did
it read.
say that?
Yes.
Oh, the only thing I heard was 2016.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that was the first thing. We recognized you as being the vice chair first for those 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And-
My
yeah.
hearing gone.
Uh,
But anyway, Mr. Parent, I just like to make a comment since you all have done this. I just want to thank the citizens, the board members, the people that I've gotten to know for allowing me to serve the city of Portsmouth. I remember when I first came on the board in 2008, and the first thing that I did was advocated, because I can't do anything alone. It takes 5 votes to get anything done. But the first thing was to advocate that we stop giving the students the cheese sandwiches that did not have the money for lunch, and that everybody would get a hot lunch. And I remember getting all kinds of grief, being written up in the paper, from the Tea Party and everything about giving away their money. But that was probably one of my proudest things, because the kids, and it was a teacher that came to me that used to work at Rite Aid, and she was saying how embarrassing it was for the students when they would go to get their lunch and be pulled out of line. So I've had a great experience with this board.
Yes.
I want to thank Chairman Parent for keeping us in order. I thank Vice Chair Cardell Patillo and the beautiful flowers that he sent me today. And it is bittersweet. I just feel like just boo-hooing and crying. Can't you tell? But anyway, I just want to say thank you to the citizens for allowing me to serve. It has been my pleasure.
And there's one thing Ms. Williams, there's one thing you forgot, your achievement. And that is recognizing us starting the student representative, if you recall that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Representative, and we've had a lot of achievements. I remember when we did, I don't know I think I'm the only one on the board that's left. Maybe Mr. Parent had come on. When we did the moonwalk.
Oh,
And
yeah.
When Dr. Steckwich was the superintendent, and he challenged everyone. If the schools were 100% accredited,
Right.
then he would do the Michael Jackson moonwalk, and the board was right there behind him. So we've had a lot of, I've seen a lot of achievements, a lot of progress. Some bad times, some good times, but mostly the good times for our students. And I do recall when I first ran, I said that I wanted to do for your child what I would want done for my own. And
That's great.
I hope that I have done that. Thank
And
you
you
all
have.
so much. Thank you.
Right. Okay. All right, thank you. Moving on. The next is a presentation, Youth Suicides by Ms. Whitney Guyton, Synergy Health Systems. And I see Whitney, and I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you. You'll have to unmute. There you go, Whitney.
Sorry, I was clicking unmute, but my computer was doing whatever it wanted to do.
I
I
know.
apologize.
Not a problem.
I appreciate me being able to present for you guys today. Again, my name is Whitney Guyton. I actually own Synergy Health Systems, and I also own Camp Loudon Services, which also resides here in the city of Portsmouth. It's its own therapeutic day treatment center here in the city of Portsmouth in the Churchland area. What we have seen throughout this pandemic is that children are falling by the wayside because parents don't know can't seem to handle their children's mental health. So we have become a resource within our community. Actually, my home office is right here on Victory Boulevard, right here in Portsmouth.
Oh,
I'm sorry?
no, I said that's good.
We also have a vocational center that we just opened here off of Victory Boulevard as well as a resource. What we're honestly seeing is that, of course, during the pandemic, children cannot be at school or be kind of out in the community like they used to be. And so what we have tried to do is develop a program within our own company so that they can have some type of resources for the kids and for parents. Our centers are both open. And we, of course, we are not at capacity, of course, because of COVID. So we are following all protocols, but we are a emergency resource, and not just an emergency, also a community resource. So not just because a child is in having an acute emergency, but even if they're not, if we're seeing anything in their, if any of the parents, teachers, or anything, they're seeing things that they may feel as different type of behavior that they're not used to seeing in that child, we're a good resource. And also within our program, we're helping combat truancy, which is a big issue right now throughout the United States, honestly.
Yeah.
So we have truancy counselors and a truancy accountability within that is also within our program. You had something to say, Mr. Parent?
No,
I thought you were.
no, I was agreeing with you.
Okay. Okay. So within our counselors, we have truancy counselors because I came up with a program called Mindful Habits for Kids that I actually developed last year, way before the pandemic. I developed it in the summer of 2019, and that it was a 16-week course that we were implementing within our center. And within that 16-week course, not only was it just behavioral that we have quantitative measurements with, we also had truancy, sexual abuse, drug abuse, depression. And so within that course and that we have lots of different assessment tools that we've developed that are very person-centered to that child. And we were developing a program based upon the needs of the kids and not just, we don't babysit is basically what I've found that has been happening within a lot of different mediums, is that we're trying to make sure that each child has their own set of goals that are obtainable for them and that they can actually see and quantify. And that they can celebrate after their course. And so that's what I developed in 2019. And who knew in 2020 that we were going to kind of put that, we need to really put that into play, but it wasn't being able to because of COVID. And now we're trying to get into the community and let people know that we're here and we're here as a resource.
Is that the end of you?
I'm listening. Well, I wasn't going to over talk. I was gonna have, if anybody had any questions or concerns or whatever, that I'm here to speak to anyone in reference to what we can do and what we can provide. Honestly, there's a plethora of services. We don't just have services for children, we also have services for adults. We have a vocational program. We have, like, even if somebody wanted to be certified in electrical, building, HVAC, things of that nature, we have that program here as well. So we have so many different resources within the company that we can provide as a whole. One of the biggest issues that I've seen reference to children and children's suicide is that a lot of the kids are being left to themselves. And when kids have no idea why they went out, I'm sorry about that. Because our children are being left to themselves, there's no accountability. And so what we can do is to step in and be helpful and be that accountability so that we don't have children fall by the wayside.
Board members, do you have any questions for Ms. Guyton? I noticed there was a report last night about the number of youth that are home isolated and are depressed. And they interviewed a father, and the son played football, and it was just a sad story because they didn't recognize they didn't recognize any symptoms. And how many parents? How do you reach parents, and how do you help parents to recognize some of these symptoms of depression so that they could get help for their child before they actually commit suicide? How does that work?
Well, one of the biggest things we do have, we have night classes for our parents. We have resources for them to, when they come off of work, because a lot of parents have been concerned about their school, their children's schoolwork, and how to reach their children.
Right.
Because think about it kind of like this. We all know kids, they all like electronics. They usually come home from school and go right to a video game or on their phone or whatever, and they're always in their room. But think about what we're saying. Usually a child is at school for about 9-10 hours a day. Then they come home. So technically a kid is not always in their room. But because of COVID, literally, kids are always in their room now. And so parents are going to work, and then they're not realizing that their child has been stuck in the house for 2, 3, 4, 5 days consistent. And we're not, as adults, sometimes we're not trying to do for our parents is to, first of all, parents need to know that there's a resource out there for them. I can't reach them if they don't know that we're here. I've been making a lot of noise. That's why I've been on TV and things of that nature, to make some noise to let parents know that we are here and we're a resource, because sometimes they have no clue of what they need to look for. And so the biggest thing is to let them know that they actually have a community resource out here that can help them combat their kid just staying in the room, or they're not understanding that their child needs to have that resource, or asking them, hey, how are you doing today? One of the things that I had discussed with at another doing gym, because they're at home, right? So some of the children that we have within our network, we do gym challenges where we have, because every kid loves TikTok and all that other type of stuff. So one of the things that we did so that the kids can actually be outside a little bit more is who can run the fastest, time yourself, videotape it, who can shoot as many baskets in 60 seconds. So we have kids that are in our network actually kind of compete with each other so that we can know that the kids that we're seeing is actually outside doing something, because sometimes parents can't get out there and throw the football or throw the baseball or whatever. And sometimes they can get out there and, maybe 1 or 2 kids, and they can still social distance, but it doesn't really, you don't have to be too close to each other to do a quick foot race. and one person can sit back and videotape that. So we're trying to get our children active and moving so that they're not just sitting in the house and getting some sunlight and getting out there and being active. That's one of the things that we're doing. But again, I only can yell so loud from where I'm at. And so I'm
Right.
looking to talk to school boards, talk to different cities and say, hey, we're out here, we're a resource, and we're doing things a little bit differently than maybe everybody else.
That's great. Ms. Hines,
Yes, thank you. Whitney,
Ms. Allen.
thank you for being here today. And as a parent and as a teacher, I know I'm with you as far as the connectivity for the kids and getting them to connect with other people. So the two things that I have for you is, number one, where can we get your contact information to get parents in touch with you? Because I didn't see it. It wasn't on the screen that you had up to begin with. But number two, are there
Yes, okay.
2 or 3 things that parents can look for right now with children's mental health that you can share with us? Because it's hard enough. I mean, we joked in a class yesterday that we've been out of school for 9 months. So technically I could have had a baby and none of my students would have known because we've been out of school that long. But it really put it into context for kids because they're, now they understand, they're aware of that time frame. But number two, they need to be, students, especially the older students, need to be aware of some of the triggers that are going on in their brain. But what are some of the things that parents can check in with their kids? And what are the, 2 or 3 big look fors that they need to look for, especially at this time of the holidays where we already know the stresses at home and the mental health is already difficult enough during the holidays, but add into it 9 months of isolation at a level that we have never seen before. So if you can give us 1 or 2 takeaways for students and for parents, that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
That's awkward. I'm sorry.
I think she's frozen.
I think so.
Okay. One of the biggest things that we've seen, and you're going to be like, a lot of people not thinking about this. A lot of kids aren't eating. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Can you see me? Oh, you guys are frozen too. All right. Am I unfrozen?
Yeah. I don't think any of us are frozen, but.
Am I unfrozen? Can you hear me? Oh man, am I unfrozen?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Am
If
I
you want to,
frozen?
if you go ahead and turn
Can you
off your
hear me?
video, if you go ahead and turn off your video, well, we lost her. I'll watch in the waiting room for her and we'll see if she joins us again and we'll put her back. Oh, there she is down here. Whitney, if you turn off your video, it might help your connection a little bit and we can at least hear you then. Whitney, you're muted right now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Okay. To answer your question, Ms. Hines, is that check your child's eating habits. What we've noticed is that a lot of children that are going through severe depression, that there's 2 things that are happening. A lot of kids have stopped eating. You might see, especially in teenagers, if they're starting to eat if you start to see your kid about 10, 11 o'clock at night and they're eating, it's probably because they're starving. And because what we have noticed is that they stop eating during the day and then they may eat a little bit of something at night. So eating habits is one of the biggest telltale signs. Overeating as well, because they're bored and they're just sitting there eating and eating and eating and eating to which is basically self-soothing. So those are 2 big signs of either overeating or not eating. If your kid comes to dinner and they're like, oh no, I'm good. I'm really just not hungry right now. Okay. That's a big sign. That's one of those those things you need to ask your kid, hey, so what did you eat today?
Mhm.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you, okay. So okay, tell me so what did you have for breakfast? Did you have lunch? Did you have a snack? Their eating habits is one of a big telltale signs. The other thing is, if you notice, they're on their phones, but they're not talking to friends, especially if your child is really social, but you can tell that they're like on their phone, but they haven't talked to Jason in a while. Have you talked to Jason? When the last time you talked? Talk to them about their friends and see when was the last time they've been interacting with their friends. Just because they're on social media or TikTok or Instagram doesn't mean that they're actually socializing. So ask them if they've talked to their latest friend or things like that. Now, if you do have a child who's always been a recluse and maybe not have a huge friend pool, then especially that child, you need to be talking to every day.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Whitney.
Ms. Allen?
Good evening. My question is this a Medicaid funded program? Is it private pay? If a family member gets in touch with you from seeing this tonight, so that they know what type of resources do they need to have in order to come to your organization?
Yes, we do take Medicaid. We take Medicaid, and we also do take private funding as well. Because we are a multifaceted healthcare system, we're not just licensed through just one licensing bureau. I have licensed through the Virginia Department of Health. I have licensed clinical social workers, LPCs, physicians on staff as well. So we are a multifaceted healthcare system as a whole. So with that being said, yes, I can take private insurance, public insurance, and private pay.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Any other questions? Ms. Shoemate?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Shoemate?
Thank you, Chairman Parent. I think you missed the information portion that Board Member Hines was talking about, Ms. Whitney.
Okay.
We wanted to see how can parents and teachers get in contact with you? What is your phone number, website, all of that? Can we get that information?
I apologize. Our telephone number here is 757-487-2803. Our website is www.synergyhealthco.com. We also have a therapeutic day treatment center. And so with the children not being in school and we can't do TDT inside of the school, our center is open, and that's in Churchland area. The address is 3280 Academy Avenue here in Portsmouth, Virginia, 23702. 23703. The telephone number to Camp Loud is 757-271-4555. The telephone number that I gave you before for Synergy can get you to Camp Loud. It doesn't matter which telephone number that you use, either Camp Loud or Synergies. It doesn't matter. You can use them interchangeably. You'll get someone. But our therapeutic day treatment center is open for children that have severe behavioral issues, and you're really for severe behavioral issues. And if you're concerned about them maybe doing certain things at home, they can actually come to the center during the day. We are picking up and dropping off and feeding. And our food program is funded personally by me. Because I want to make sure that all of our children eat. And the USDA program, because of everything that's going on, was not going to be something that we can use. So I'm making sure that the babies are fed. We take children that are from 8 to 18 because our vocational part of our center, we bus our teenagers, our high schoolers, to a different part, which is over here to our Victory Boulevard Center. And yes, we here are a resource in Portsmouth, but we can be a resource within any city.
All right, Dr. Bracey, one of the things that she mentioned was about food. We are feeding, the students, but are we delivering the food, or is there a place where the students can go, the parents can go to pick up the food? She had mentioned that some children do not have food. So how do we get the food? How are we feeding our kids?
Our kids are still receiving the food from our food services department.
Right.
You know, we've been communicating that from day one in terms of where the locations were, how they could pick those up, and, you know, even using the buses as transportation going into the neighborhoods. So, and we're actually still feeding any student because we're basically now still under the guidelines of the community feeding.
Right.
Okay, Dr. Bracy, I do have a question for ourselves, because all of our children that are in our program currently, all of our school-age students are children from the city of Portsmouth. And is there a way because some of them go to different schools, of course, but is there a way that we can tap into that resource? I mean, truthfully, I've been doing it, so I don't technically have a problem with it. But if there is something that, you know, more of a resource, I would like to do so, because we have tried to make certain calls and we've kind of got pushback. So instead of not knowing who else to talk to, I just fund it. So if there is a way that we can make sure, because we're feeding them breakfast and lunch.
Okay.
What up, Ms. Guyton? What I'll do, I think we have your email address, so I'll make sure that someone contacts you so that we can clear all of that up.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, you're
All
welcome.
right, Harry, no other questions. Thank you very much for coming, because it is a mental crisis, not only in our country, but we need to stay on top of it. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the Portsmouth Athletic Competition, and that's Mr. Vincent Pugh, our athletic director. Mr. Pugh.
Good evening, board members elect. I'm here today just to discuss some updates on athletics, and I submitted a document for you to look at. So we've been out of school since March, and we've been out of athletics since March. So we started planning statewide and regionally in April. So our goals were to implement a COVID-19 mitigation plan to safely return to physical activity at our school facilities, and to position our school division for scholastic activities in the winter. So we assumed that we were going to have fall sports, and then the Virginia High School League flipped the seasons, you know, and so winter ended up being the first season. One of our goals was to safely return our students to physical activity where they would benefit both socially and emotionally, which is a nice segue to Ms. Whitney and what she just talked about, because we're experiencing a lot of the same things that she's talking about with regards to the psychological health of our student athletes. Also, to educate our staff, students, and parents on our plan to ensure the safe return to scholastic activity. Okay. So in implementing this plan, our health mitigation plan was developed in June and reviewed by our health department. We were cleared in August to begin conditioning activities, and our plan was submitted to the VDOE. We spent the next 4 weeks educating our staff, students, and parents on our health plan while preparing our facilities for our safe return. We supplied our staff with the PPE necessary to protect our staff and students. We began all-season conditioning at the 3 high schools on September 14th with small groups and only using outdoor facilities. In October, we began using indoor facilities for conditioning for certain sports. We have had very few cases in the 3 months, and a lot of that is preparation, but most of it is luck. I can just tell you that. And we've been conditioning and working with our health department since we've been conditioning and working with our health department, we were able to quickly trace the origin and execute our plan. Actually, in each of the cases that we had, the very next day, it was traced out to where it came from, and we were able to restart our conditioning at those schools the next day. All right, thanks to Whitney and Dr. James. All right, so where we stand right now, here are our updates. The VHSL condensed winter season, which is basketball, indoor track, swimming, and wrestling, was scheduled to start on Monday, December 7th. But we decided to push the start of official practice back 1 week due to health metrics and safety concerns. Our rationale was that if we limit the number of athletes in our building at the start of the winter season, we could limit a possible exposure which could trigger a shutdown. I think all of you have been watching professional sports and college sports, and you see what happens when there is an exposure and then the teams can't play for a few days. And so we know with high school it's going to happen, but we're trying to do everything that we can to minimize that. Okay? We did allow the basketball teams to condition this week as we prepare for the other winter sports to begin official practice on December 14th. Now, we are fully aware what the other local divisions are doing, and I do believe this spread, we have to look at it from a regional standpoint. So other divisions did push their practice back to the 14th. I think only two divisions, Chesapeake and Suffolk, decided to start on Monday. Everybody else is either on hold or they start next week. When we do begin play, our games will be conducted with no fans in attendance, and we will be live streaming our games through our newly installed Pixelot cameras that uses algorithms to follow the action and does not require an operator. We are one of only 3 local divisions who have cameras that are installed and operational. The other 2 being Norfolk and Virginia Beach. Our fans and parents will be able to watch our games from the comfort of their homes for a monthly subscription fee that is less than the cost of 2 basketball games. Okay. We have a few basketball games scheduled in December as we speak, with the bulk of the season to be played in January. We are well aware that a lot of other divisions have moved their start of their games to either January 4th or January 11th as they fear, the COVID spread coming from Christmas and New Year's. So at this point, we are prepared to pause all activities as health metrics change, and will continue to collaborate with our regional partners to share data and best practices in order to return to play safely. So at this point, Monday, we are scheduled to practice, but if things get worse, we will meet again and we'll make the decision as necessary in order to protect our kids and our staff. So with that, I'll take any questions that anybody have.
Okay.
Chairman Parent, this is Board Member Atkinson.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that presentation, Mr. Pugh. I have 2 questions. I know on the Pixelot, it allows the option to solicit ads and sponsorships. So since the school will be losing that revenue from ticket sales, we probably should be we probably should be maximizing that and utilizing that ad portion that you're able to insert into Pixelot. And I don't know if that's something that the upcoming sponsorship committee could look at, but is that something that's on the table to do?
Yeah, that's definitely something we can consider. It being that this situation is very fluid at this point, we have really been focusing on trying to get the game started. What Pixelot did, we signed a contract with them and we decided to go with the non-revenue contract. That means that they take all of the risk, they own the equipment, they service it. And so basically after 3 years, then we can start the revenue sharing. But due to COVID, they decided that they're going to let the schools revenue share the first year anyway. So even people that chose a non-revenue option, such as we're still going to get a percentage of what the monthly or yearly subscriptions that they sell.
Okay, so we are getting a percentage of that subscription. So
for this year.
with the non-revenue one, we're not able to insert ads, or are we able to insert ads?
Yes, we can always answer ads. And what they charge a parent for a month is $10.99.
Right.
So you know, to go to a game is $6. So
Right.
you can pay $10.99, and for a month you can watch every game across the nation, every game that our city has. But what we decided is, in some divisions say they added like $5 to that so they could make money, but we decided not to because our parents are already stressed financially, you know, so we didn't want to do anything to, since you guys as a school board fully fund our athletics, the loss of that revenue is really not that big of a deal where it is for some other rural counties who rely on that to pay for officials and things of that, and uniforms and things of that nature. So thanks to the school board and your, you know, and the way you have us funded, that we were easily able to move into that without it being a detriment in other areas.
And the only thing with Pixaglot that I noticed is, do we just have the standalone where it's just set in one place and it's not able to follow action? So is this one the actual standalone that's going to be set in one specific area and not rotate with the play?
All right. If you look at the document I sent, there's a link to it. You click on the link and you will be able to see a YouTube video. It does follow the action using algorithms. It's actually 2 cameras. And then we have a third one installed that's an OCR camera that points right at our scoreboard. So it'll look like you're looking at an NFL or NBA game. You'll actually see the scoreboard overlaid on the screen and you'll see the action. It follows the ball. Yeah.
Okay, and my final question for what's the trend that you're seeing for seniors as far as like their NCAA eligibility for those that might not be able to play that final year?
Well, truthfully, you know, your junior year is the year you get recruited. You know, so what hurt us last year was we lost our spring, but our fall and our winter athletes were able to participate. So with that being said, there have been a number of activities outside of the Scholastic and the Virginia High School League that has gone on. And I do mean 7-on-7 football camps, field hockey, softball, baseball, soccer. You know, youth sports really kind of ramped up in August. So kids have been getting looks through that and have been getting offers. And pretty much anybody who's going to get a Division I offer, you're on the board your junior year. The seniors are what kind of for Division II and Division III, the people that come around later. So we do feel good about the fact that the kids have had some exposure, even if not with us, so that it won't be a total wash due to the virus.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Any other board members have any questions for Mr. Pugh?
Well, I have a comment.
Mr. Barnes?
First, I wanted to say you guys have been doing a great job with making sure you keep things under wraps. My son is actually participating in some of the conditioning that's going on for basketball and football. So I want to commend you guys for the work you're doing with that. But I do have a question. I'm not sure if Mr. Pugh will be the person, but to answer this. But given the new mandates that came out today, how would that affect what we're doing?
Well, what the governor did today really doesn't change anything for us because what he did was he moved the gatherings from 25 to 10.
Right.
So basically, but that did not affect youth and recreational sports. Youth and recreational sports still can have 25 spectators, which he moved to that in early November, and 250 total people in the building. But since we opted to go with no fans, that really doesn't affect us much.
Also, he mentioned today also too about possible moving sports that's on inside outside. Are we even considering that?
I see you laughing. You're doing the same thing I did when he mentioned that. When Dr. Northern said, you know, you're playing basketball in the gym, we can look to playing that outside. We would need totally new equipment because we currently don't have any outdoor basketball courts at our high schools, well, maybe Churchland Middle. So, and we would need new basketballs because we can't use our nice leather basketballs out there. And there are a lot of other reasons why we can't do that, other than it's too cold. So
Right.
I don't know if our esteemed governor was thinking when he said that, but I support him nonetheless. But we're not considering that.
And our kids play hard, so I'm not sure we want them to hit that concrete.
Well, did he take down all the hoops anyway?
They're back up.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Pugh? All right, oh, Ms. Huns.
Ms.
Huns.
Mr. Pugh, I just wanted to say thank you as somebody who played sports, all sports going through high school, to keep them going and to do what we can do for our kids to and I'm going to say some sense of normalcy, but that routine, that conditioning, you know how to do it. It's second nature. You have done it as long as these high school kids have done it. It's a lot of second nature. So it hurts my heart not to have fans, but it hurts my heart to watch professional games and college games without fans as well. So as much as I'm excited for them to be able to come in and play even a condensed season, it still is, the heartbreak is still there. But thank you for doing what you've done. Thank you for doing for the kids, and thank you for the protections that you have put in place for both our staff and our kids, to still have this resource in this time. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you as well.
All right, thank you. Moving on, it's discussion rezoning. I think that's going to be Dr. Bracy.
Chairman Parent, if I can just start with our
Sure.
we were going to give last week to kind of lead into it.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Chairman Parent and fellow school board members. The procurement office has been working on finalizing a rezoning RFP for the Churchland area elementary schools for the past several weeks, as requested by the school board. We met again on December the 8th. Now, I want to commend the staff because this is the most I've met on the committee since being on the board. We've been meeting monthly, sometimes multiple times a month on different projects. But as they evaluated the project that the board asked them to do, they came to the committee to get some guidance and determined if the division would be better served by expanding the scope to include all elementary schools instead of just focusing on the Churchland area. The reason for the expansion is related to the growth in several areas such as the Victory and Simonsdale area and the effect that could have on future enrollments in all of our other areas. We discussed the merits of this option, and the committee decided that it would be prudent to include all 13 elementary schools in the rezoning RFP for the following reasons. One, it will be less costly to perform one rezoning project versus doing multiple phases. Number two, public hearings will only be held once instead of multiple times over several years. And three, we will receive a comprehensive long-term solution that would address any potential overcrowding issues for years to come versus a short-term solution that's less comprehensive. The procurement office, as far as the timing, the procurement office will reissue a rezoning RFP on Thursday, December the 17th. Due to the nature of this type of procurement, the normal return time is 5 to 8 weeks. Therefore, we will ask that vendors return this RFP to Portsmouth Public Schools no later than January the 25th. I guess for a board member who wants to be overly excited, we would like to say that it could possibly be put in effect as of the beginning of the 21-22 school year, but we don't want to guarantee that timeline, although it is very possible. But based on those solutions and the cost effectiveness of doing it, it would be more comprehensive for us to include all 13 schools and not just the Churchland area schools. And just for an example, you have some of our students who currently live downtown in London Oaks area and in Westbury, Waterview. They cross the bridge, go to Churchland schools for middle school. So if you were to do a rezoning to try to lessen the capacity in the schools now, it would affect those schools downtown as well. So you'll be back in a year or a year and a half to try to put out another RFP to do a rezoning for that section and another section 2 years later. So it will only make sense to do it all at once rather than doing one area at a time. One question though you all are going to ask, so we did our due diligence, and we actually, over the past 2 to 3 years, the average cost for this project has been between $40,000 to $60,000 based on our research. So we did check over the past 2 or 3 years what the average cost has been, but of course, the final is going to be based upon a scope of services for Portsmouth Public Schools. But that's a range for you to look at as far as the cost of what that would be for us to complete the project. I'm going to have Miss Kathy upload this report in board docs. I'm going to send it to her now, but we've covered what's going to be involved, who's going to be involved, the timing, and the price. But I'm sure Mr. Falk and Dr. Brace can answer any other questions you may have. And that's my report from the Operations and Technology Committee.
Thank you, Reverend Patillo. Dr. Bracy, Mr. Falk, either one of you have any other comments you'd like to make?
Not unless there's some specific questions. Reverend Patillo's report really detailed everything that we discussed.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Do we have any questions from board members before we move on? Ms. Hines.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, DeAndre. Do you want to go ahead? You can.
No, by all means, this is yours.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you for finally getting it done. I mean, we started talking about this rezoning in August of 2019. And we were told in October of 2019 that something was going to be out by Christmas. And here we are in Christmas of 2020. I know that there's been discussion about Churchland, and then we discussed, it was brought to our attention that we might want to look at the whole thing. So I do want to say thank you for getting it in progress and getting it out there. And if that RFP time is not long enough, I mean, I'm sure everybody doesn't break for the holiday like we do. But I'm interested to see is what everybody comes back with, and moving this forward, because we do have some schools that do need to be, if we can lessen their capacity, then that is what we need to do. So thank you to staff, and thank you for the committee to get with staff to make this happen. So thank you.
Okay. Mr. Barnes?
I just wanted to know one question. Did we look at the middle schools too to see if they were having any capacity issues? I know Churchland Middle has a lot of children.
No, we were just focusing on the elementary schools.
I mean, I also will say that it's kind of a cause and effect that by focusing on all 13 schools, you will in turn possibly send less children to Churchland Middle by rezoning those schools, which will change capacity in other schools. So right now, the other two middle schools are not at capacity. So a rezoning would definitely help Churchland Middle School as far as decreasing the attendance there. And also you have elementary schools such as Douglas Park and John Tyler who are either over or at capacity as well. So it will also help those schools in turn also by doing all 13 elementary schools.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, moving on. The next is a resolution, consideration of a resolution recognizing the Virginia Principals Appreciation Week, January the 18th, 22nd, 2021. That is Dr. Camardi. I think all of you have a copy. I've seen a copy of the resolution. Dr. Camardi, are you going to read this?
Yes, sir, I will. Thank you,
Thank
Chairman Parent, Vice Chair Patillo, Dr. Bracy, members of the board. This actually is a certificate of recognition from the governor by virtue of the authority vested in the Constitution of Virginia and the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. There's hereby officially recognized 2021 Virginia School Principals Appreciation Week. Whereas school principals work cooperatively to direct, develop, and inspire all members of the school staff and student body, and to communicate effectively with parents to engage them in the learning process. And whereas principals serve as educational leaders responsible for managing the policies, regulations, and procedures necessary to ensure safe and effective learning environments for all students in Virginia's public and private schools. And whereas principals and teachers are entrusted with the opportunity and responsibility of guiding, directing, nurturing, mentoring, and imparting knowledge to our children while they're at school. And whereas principals must work collaboratively with teachers, staff, students, parents, and the community at large to proactively prepare students to be self-reliant and productive citizens. And whereas Virginia School Appreciation Week is an opportunity to recognize the hard work of Virginia school principals and to recognize the importance of principals in ensuring that every child has access to a quality education. Now, therefore, I, the Governor, Ralph Northam, do hereby recognize January 18th through 22nd, 2021 as Virginia School Principals Appreciation Week in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I call this observance to the attention of all citizens.
You heard the reading of the resolution. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move for approval, Patillo.
Do I have a second? Atkinson, second. Hearing no, any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Mr. Lamb,
Yes.
Reverend Patillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemake,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Parent.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a roll call vote, consideration of the minutes for November the 5th, 2020 and November 17th, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move for approval, Hines?
Hines,
Second, Atkinson.
Atkinson, second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Atkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Mr. Lamb,
Yes.
Reverend Patillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemake,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Parent.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. The next item is public comment. Public comment, non-agenda items. Do we have any speakers? Madam Clerk.
No, sir.
All right, under board agenda items, do we have any speakers?
No, sir.
Thank you. The next item is the Human Resources report, and we will go to Mrs. Durham. Let me see where there she is. Mrs. Durham.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Chairman Parent and Vice Chair Patillo, other board members. Happy holidays to all of you. The Human Resources report was brief this month, but it did include information about our final total of funds that were contributed to our United Way campaign. And I'm happy to report that we, as a division, were able to raise $27,624.08 during this 2020 year. And that's, excuse me?
That is great under the conditions in which that was great.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that concludes my Human Resources report.
And the next item is consideration of the employee transaction report. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Ms. Williams, and that Allen, the second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Atkinson,
Yes.
Mr. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Mr. Lamb,
Yes.
Reverend Patillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemake,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Parent.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, we go to budget and planning. It's a roll call vote, consideration of the financial budget report for October, and we have one for November. I'm going to call on, where is Mr. Falk? Mr. Falk.
Hey, Chairman
There
Parent.
you are.
This board member Atkinson, do we have to vote on 10.2 or?
We're going to do,
We already voted on 10.2.
I'm sorry, I thought it was 10.1. Never mind. Sorry about that.
we've already done, yeah, oh, that's okay. All right, now, Mr. Falk, you have your October and November financial reports.
Good evening, Chairman Parent, Reverend Patillo, school board members, upcoming school board members, and Dr. Bracy. You have in your packet the October and the November financial budget reports, and I'd ask for a motion to approve.
Move for approval, Patillo.
Hello, do I have a second? Lamb, Mr. Lamb seconded. Do I have any discussion? Hear no discussion. Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Mr. Lamb,
Yes.
Reverend Patillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemake,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Parent,
Yes.
unanimous.
All right, we voted on the October and the November reports. All right, moving on. Superintendents, consideration to approve certain school board policies. Boy, when I clicked on that and saw those policies, that was a lot of reading. I think, Ms. Allen, aren't you chairman of the policies committee?
There's no chair. It's myself and Ms. Williams. We are both on the policy committee, and we both
Right.
reviewed those policies several months ago.
And you're recommending that for approval for tonight.
Yes, I concur. We do,
Okay.
not to speak for Ms. Williams, but from our discussion in our meeting, yes, we do.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move for approval, Hines.
And do I have a second?
Second Williams.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Do we have any discussion? I know there was a lot of reading and a lot of policies that we will be voting on. So hearing no other discussion, Madam Clerk, I think we're ready to vote.
Allen,
Yes.
Ms. Atkinson,
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Barnes,
Yes.
Mrs. Hines,
Yes.
Mr. Lamb,
Yes.
Reverend Patillo,
Yes.
Mrs. Shoemake,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Parent.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. The next item is Dr. Bracy, your monthly report.
Thank you, Chairman Parent, Vice Chair Patillo, members of the school board, and our board members elect. I appreciate this opportunity to provide you the monthly report, and this is the last one for the 2020 calendar year. I trust all of you are looking forward to winter break as a pause from the push and pull of delivering public education services during a pandemic. So I will be succinct here. I want to start with a few notable items that have taken place recently, and I will end on a high note acknowledging the extraordinary contributions of our departing school board members that we recognized earlier. In the spirit of ingenuity, we must continue as we plan for the return of some of our students in the new year. At the conclusion of our surveys last month, we saw that almost 35% of secondary families and almost 45% of elementary families had chosen the hybrid model for their children for the second semester. Obviously, virtual education remains the preference for most families. We have a lot of work ahead of us because while the survey response rates were respectable, we did have a significant number of non-respondents. Schools have been diligent about following up with the families who did not complete the surveys. Together, we are working hard to be operationally ready for the reopening of schools. For example, in the coming weeks, transportation staff will be mapping out our bus routes. We are also very aware that families have a heightened interest in student safety. Thus, we have worked with Dr. Lauren James, the city's public health director, to tape a TV public safety announcement on strategies families can employ to ensure they are partners in their students' safe return to school. We have also taped a PSA with Dr. Jerry Simmons, our Director of Auxiliary Services, on all the cleaning, transportation, and food service safeguards we have in place in our schools and on our buses. Those PSAs will begin running in the first week or two of January. I want to also at this time share some celebratory news. You may remember that at a previous board meeting when I advised the school about the school division's CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Report.
Right.
They earned at that time the Certificate for Excellence in Financial Reporting. Well, I'm pleased to offer tonight that our Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Theo Falk, and his capable staff have done it again. The Association of School Business Officials, ASBO, they have presented the school division with this Meritorious Budget Award. This award is meant to promote and recognize the best budget presentation for its school division's operating budget for the 2020-21 fiscal year. So congratulations to them.
Hey, Mr. Falk. Good job.
As promised, I want to end on a note of profound gratitude for our departing school board members for their incomparable service. Each of you brought something valuable and to the table to help us with our leadership. Mrs. Williams, Ms. Allen, Mr. Lamb, Mr. Barnes, thank you for your service. Mr. Barnes, we know that you will be moving over to the city council, and we're thankful to have an advocate who knows our strengths and our challenges firsthand. And we know that you will represent us well with your fellow city council members and to the public. I truly appreciate all board members for always putting the needs of children first and foremost in everything that you do. You're truly good and faithful public servants. On behalf of the staff of Portsmouth Public Schools in this community, I thank you for a job well done. I would also like to conclude by thanking our staff and community for their support during a year that has been like no other. You have most certainly exhibited grace under pressure. And with this, I say happy holidays to each and every one of you. As I close, I definitely want to share a sense of gratitude that was shown to me and my family during the passing of my dad. My family and I thank you all for all the well wishes, the cards, the flowers, the phone calls, the texts. Very appreciative, and we want to make sure that it doesn't go unnoticed. Mr. Chairman and members of the school board, that concludes my report.
Thank you. All right, the next item is board members' comments. Do we have any board members who would like to make any comments? I saw Hines and I saw Allen. All right, Hines,
All right, thank you.
then Allen.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. I would like, after we voted last week on the name change, and we all discussed the name change last week, there was also the financial discussion or pieces that we had. And so what I would, and a lot of the conversations I've had this week is the fact that that $400 and some odd $1,000 is a lot when we have a lot of pandemic stuff that has to occur. And so there's a lot of fear out there that this $400,000 is going to be taken away from the health and the safety of our students and our staff in order to make these name changes happen. So I would like to request in January or at the earliest possible for staff that we get an analysis of what's got to happen for the name change and where that money is going to come from, but then also too what we have used our CARES Act money for in a more specific way, so that the public can actually see that what's happening for pandemic and COVID information is not necessarily going to be impacted by the financial needs of the name change. So, we voted last week for the name change, and that's great, but I want to make sure that people understand and people see where that money is coming from to make that happen, and specifically that money is not coming from health and safety of our students and our staff during this COVID time. Does that make sense? Dr. Bracy?
Yes, absolutely, Mrs. Hines. And yeah, I was briefed on that, on the discussion from the meeting last week. And one of the things that I want the public to know is that we're not going to take anything away from our curriculum and instruction, as well as the safety of any of our students and staff during this pandemic. As you mentioned, that's what the CARES Act funding is for. That takes care of the situations with PPEs, all that type of equipment in our schools, on our buses, and we make sure that our staff is safe. So that those funds are directly for those purposes. So I don't want anyone to think that the general operating budget is covering any of that. So when you start looking and start talking about a shortfall, that's not the case. As far as the how we're going to pay for this, I mean, Mr. Falk and I will get together and we can we can make this an agenda item at the January meeting. But I want the public to know, when you're asking where are we going to get the money from to pay for this, well, this was an item that was not budgeted.
Right.
So, but understand that I can't. So if it's not being budgeted, I can't tell you today where the money is coming from.
Right.
But what I do want everyone to understand, at the end of every school year, there's always excess funds that if we don't spend, we have to take it to the council and ask for them to revert it back to us to use. Now, this year, with this being a total virtual year, there possibly will be more end of year funds available for us, because the transportation is not utilized as much. We still have vacancies with our staff, so their funding will be there. So it's just a matter of, let's wait. We're sort of waiting till we get to the end to see exactly how we can earmark the dollars for this expenditure for the renaming. And also, this doesn't have to all take place at one time. We've got this year to look at it. We also have next year to plan. When we're going through our budget process now, Mr. Falk is meeting with different departments. He's having specifically conversations with Dr. Johnson over at Wilson, as we're talking about making changes. Matter of fact, Woodrow Wilson is in the process now, was already slated to have bathroom renovations done. So now, knowing that the name has changed to Manor, they're working together to get the color scheme together to match what the Manor colors were. So as we make these changes, we're taking all of these things into account. So I know people were anxious about it, but it's at this point, it's no reason to be alarmed about anything. We're not taking money away from anybody to make this happen.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I do have two other things I would like to bring up. When we had food distribution, have we communicated with families about how that's going to take place over holiday break? Do we have a plan in place in that, and has that been shared out with our families?
I just had a meeting yesterday with Dr. Simmons and Mr. Gelhoff, our food services coordinator. They have a plan they have a plan that they put together that they will be communicating, that out very soon. We're looking at covering the students that for the part of the extended time that they will be out for the break. I don't think we could do anything for every day, but they're looking at having most of those days covered, almost a two week period. I don't know the exact number of days yet, still looking into that, but they're going to order as many of the supplies that they can to cover the students that are in need. And one of the things that they're focusing on are those students who are desperately in need.
Right. Okay. And the last thing I have is listening to the city council presentation for their 5-year outlook for their budget. Looking at next year, they are projecting a $10 million loss, which for us, based on the formula funding as we have it right this minute, hopefully there will be some adjustments to there. But have you spoken with interim city manager about holding the schools harmless or not having such an impact on our budget as of yet?
We have.
And I know it's early, so I'm just
Yeah.
trying to get ahead of
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah, no problem. We have, Mr. Falk has already made that initial request to the city CFO, because what we're trying to do, we want to make sure this is the first year of the funding formula. So
Right.
we want to know what are the numbers. If you go back to the documents in the last month, we should have known what our figure would be for the upcoming year. So we haven't received that yet. So he's reached out to them again so that we could get that figure. And once we get the number, we want to also go over that to make sure we understand how they came up with that, because a lot of the people that were involved in that process on the city side are no longer there. So we want to make sure that we go through all of this to make sure that we're all on the same page of how you got to the number that you present us. But we're hoping to hear something soon. If we don't hear anything within the next day or so, then I told Mr. Falk I would reach out to Mr. Pace so we could get this meeting scheduled.
Okay. And the last thing, at one point in the meeting, in one of our meetings recently, we talked about a COVID dashboard. So as we are, right now on schedule to bring students back in, of course, that is subject to change per things that are out of our control at this moment in time. Where are we with the development and the outlay of this dashboard?
We're working on that. Mrs. Duran has been spearheading the dashboard. She's been gathering information from some of the other school divisions that have those in place. Of course, the school divisions that are actually face-to-face in a hybrid model are fully open. Those are the ones that have the dashboard. So our goal is to have it in place by the time our students return in February. So we're working on that. We're on schedule with that. And Dr. James from the health department is working with us to make sure that we get that in place so that our numbers are matching up with what they have as well.
Okay, thank you. And I believe with that, I'm finished. I think I've checked off everything on my list. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Allen and then Ms. Shoemate.
Good evening. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank my fellow colleagues for serving with you for these last 4 years. To the staff of Portsmouth Public Schools, it has been an honor and a privilege to represent you. To the citizens of the city of Portsmouth, it has been the highest honor to really represent you. I've done that with honor and dignity and grace. And I am so thankful for this opportunity to be of service on the school board. I won't be far, I'll still be around. To Susan, Kathy, and Brenda, the glue that welcomed me on board in 2016. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Dr. Bracy, has been a pleasure to work alongside of you. Nothing gets done without 4 or 5 votes together. Sometimes we're all together, sometimes we're not. That's the nature of democracy, and I appreciate that. So from coming on board in pharmacy tech to barbering, I appreciated everyone who's given me the opportunity to bring what my gifts to the table. So thank you so much, Miles. I'm excited to see you as student representative. I watched you for a long time and you have not disappointed thus far. I'm expecting to see great things from you, to continue to see great things from you. I'm excited, DeAndre, that you're moving up to city council. We expect you to fight for us. So we sent the right person to city council to fight for us, and I know you'll do that job. And I look forward to seeing what you're going to do. So again, thank you, each and every one of you on this live, to my colleagues, to the Portsmouth Public Schools staff. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. I think that I'm Ms. Shoemate, and then you're next.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Parent. Really quickly, the PE committee met this week, and we spoke about a few things. We spoke about the potential development that is coming to Portsmouth and certain things that are coming down the pipeline and how we could better serve those new businesses, those potential businesses coming to Portsmouth. and how we can implement that into our CTE program. Another piece that I spoke about and that I'm going to present next month is about a potential registered youth apprenticeship program. So we have a few things already, in the pipeline. Welding, potentially we want to bring in electrical, plumbing, and a few other things that we were talking about there in discussion with Centera. In regards to more nursing affiliated positions and certificates in the near future. So, and another thing they wanted to do, Dr. Bracy wanted to see if we could get on the agenda once a month so that we can provide updates as to what's going on regarding the CTE program. We don't have a vocational school, but that I'm pretty sure we're gonna get to that very soon. And we do have a lot of things coming down the pipeline as far as what we're going to bring for our students to our small businesses and to the city of Portsmouth. One more thing, well, a couple more things. I just want to thank all of those who are transitioning off the board for everything that you have done. I have learned a lot from each and every one of you, and I wish you nothing but the best. Mr. Barnes, I do expect for you to do what's right. You are there. And so we are going to be watching you, and hopefully we don't have to harass you, but I know you're going to do what's right because you did what was right here on the board. So I appreciate you and congratulations. Very last thing, today is our fellow board member's birthday, and I would love for all of us to unmute ourselves and sing happy birthday to Lakeisha Clue Atkinson. Yeah, even if you can't sing, just mouth it. It's okay. But she deserves that. She's celebrating her birthday. We love her. And I think we should, express that to the citizens of Portsmouth and beyond. So are we ready?
Ready?
Are we unmuted? I see a lot of mute. I see a lot of people still muted. I need people to unmute. Unmute. Everyone that's on this call, unmute so we can sing her happy birthday. Are we ready?
Ready.
1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Atkinson.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to you.
And many more.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much.
In. All right. Ms. Williams?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I forgot to thank, in my earlier comments, I need to thank Brenda and Kathy and Susan. They are the glue that holds everything together. And a special thank you to the best superintendent in the Tidewater. Well, is it Region 2 or 4 that you were superintendent of the year? Two, Region 2. He was named superintendent of the year. So to the best superintendent, it's been my pleasure. Jessica, Dr. Nguyen, and Dean, and Dr. Cromartie, Derek, so many. And whenever I've had to call on you for anything, Kathy, O'Hara, everybody. I mean, it's just been, you've got a great staff. And I don't ever allow people to talk about Portsmouth Public School staff because you all are fantastic to me. And I just want to add one comment. I have to say something else before I leave. I have been getting a few emails from a few people about the renaming. Very people. And I would like to say, for some people, it doesn't matter if it's $400,000 or $40. Their issue is the name change. And I got into a discussion that I very rarely respond to, but I just had to say something when it was stated that we are jealous and that Black folk don't want to work, don't want to do anything, and want everything given to them. So I responded to that, which I very rarely do. But we know that, and we talked about it, that it would cost something to change it. It would be done in phases. But to think that this board would jeopardize our teachers, our students, or whatever is asinine. And my thing is, they don't care. They don't want it done, but we've already voted to do it. And I resent anyone writing emails to any of us about Black folk don't want to work and don't want to do anything. So as a school board member, and my final parting comments, I wanted to say that to the citizens. It's resentful and it was hurtful. So with that, I bid you all adieu.
Hey, fake news.
And Ms. Williams, I think I responded to one of them, that you just have to, there are some people that are just ignorant and you're never going to change them. And I'm glad that you responded the way you did, because it was very professional. And but the bottom line is that some people are just ignorant, and you have to move on. And as a board, we did what was right. And as long as we do what's right, we keep moving on. So, all right.
I have something to say.
Wait a minute. Did somebody say something?
DeAndre.
Oh, DeAndre. I'm sorry. I didn't see your hand go up.
I want to thank you guys for allowing me to serve on the school board, the citizens of Portsmouth. It has been a pleasure to serve with you guys. Me and my 6'7" frame. That's for the ladies, Miss Kathy and Miss Brenda. But I want to thank you guys. It's been a good 2 years. It was a pleasure serving with all of you guys. And also, Claude, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for never allowing me the opportunity to serve in the capacity on school board that I wanted to serve. It was because of people like you that I was motivated to serve at a higher level, which is now the city council. You did what most people do to young people, and that's tell them to wait their turn. You and so many others telling me to wait my turn catapulted me to run for city council and do the things necessary to secure the #1 spot. I want to leave this lesson with our students. When someone closes a door and tells you to wait your turn, remember, there's always a window. Thank you again, Clark, for showing me how not to be comfortable with what someone gives you and not waiting your turn. Bonds out.
Very good. I had to wait my turn and finally got it. All right, and with that, I'm going to say, wait a minute. Oh, Mr. Lamb, I'm sorry. Mr. Lamb.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Parent. I had to switch over because of the internet was kind of acting funny, but I would be remiss if I didn't say my words, going out. In fact, wasn't even sure if I need to put something together formal or not. Many times when I speak, I think I do better when I just speak from the heart. And so that's what I'm going to do this evening. First and foremost, with the whole board, it has been a pleasure over the past 8 years with regards to working with all of you, most of you, except for the newer individuals that was able to work with. And even though we didn't always agree at times, that was okay. We had our discussions, we had our words with that, and we voted and we moved on with that. I can't say I've learned a lot about education, even though being a teacher as well, seeing it from this side was very, very rewarding. And I learned a lot from that, and I take that with me. But more importantly, I think the things that I enjoyed the most, and you can tell I smile even when I think about it, even now, is the fact of over the last couple of weeks getting the comments that I got from just many of our teachers and parents that has reached out to me and just said thank you for standing up for their son or daughter, or teachers saying thank you for standing up for us at different parts of the of the 8 years. And those are things that I'm going to take with me. And so it's been good. Again, thank you for the plaque, the award. That will mean a lot. I think looking around in this room in here, I'm trying to decide where I want to put that plaque. It will mean a lot as I move forward. I'll still be involved in education, if not in the classroom that I'm in right now. It'll always be in another capacity as well. And of course, Miss Patterson, I've known you from day one when it was you and Miss Chandler together with some of the funny stuff that we came up with. And I'm not going to throw you under the bus with some of that stuff that we had as we were moving forward. But I thank you and Miss Chandler for showing a lot of the inside works and with what to do, how to operate, the push the buttons, even though they're color coded, but how to do it. And in Miss Chambliss as well. You know, guys, I think everyone on this board would agree that, you know, Miss Chambliss goes out of her way to do a lot for us. So does Miss Patterson. But I'm just saying, Miss Chambliss takes on a lot of responsibilities there as well to help move forward. So I just want to say to the citizens of Portsmouth, thank you for the opportunity. I've learned a lot. This won't be the last time that you hear from me in some kind of service, and just thank you and farewell.
Okay, very good. All right. I look forward to Mr. Tillage, Mrs. Thomas, Dr. Whitaker in January, and I wish all of you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and just get some rest, because 21 is going to be really around the corner and we've got a lot of work to do. So if there's nothing else to come before this board, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move for adjournment.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. And those of you who have any objections, well, you can stay on all night long, but see you later. Thank you very much and God bless. Thank you. Good night.
I think it's fitting that our two senior board members made that final motion and second. So congratulations.
Right, it came out perfectly.
It did. So congratulations and thank you all.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care.